Massive Roblox YouTuber PghLFilms, with over 2 million subscribers, known for Roblox animation videos regarding Piggy for example, has been recently in hot water over large allegations levied against him by a Twitter user known as Bo. Now, to summarize the lengthy post, in which I will go over entirely later on, essentially he's being accused of making NSFW jokes when he was a legal adult with other minors present in the server, allegedly leaking his detractors and haters' actual real names and addresses, allegedly being really creepy to a minor regarding an image the minor had as their profile picture being of them in a bathing suit, and also them allegedly posting animal death shock content as a quote-unquote joke in a server which minors were exposed to. Now, Bo attests how PghLFilms had essentially suddenly removed all messages in his server, so at the time she was making the post, she didn't really have any proof to go off of. So in the earlier stages of this information being publicly released, a lot of people in the replies were understandably cynical and hesitant to believe her side of the story at first. However, eventually other users seemed to start coming out the woodworks to attest to the validity of her public statement. A lot of the so-called proof, which is currently shown as well, is pretty disjointed and jumbled up, so bear with me as we basically summarize the situation and basically gloss over the screenshots. So one user named Ocean shows a screenshot of what they claim to be allegedly PghLFilms, claiming he is quote-unquote racist to Koreans, with another person stating in the quote tweets, "Adding on to this, I'd like to mention that one time when I was in a Piggy server of his, he referred to Asian people, including himself, having quote-unquote coin slot eyes in chat," which I thought was weird. The thread that Ocean has continues with some actually really disturbing stuff, including a screenshot of who they claim to be allegedly PghLFilms, posting YouTube videos such as dead cat rotting time-lapse, or husky kills poodle animal fight video, or deer gets hit by truck and explodes video. So it's some pretty weird and somewhat sadistic, morbid videos to probably not be sharing or posting when you are a family-friendly YouTuber known for making piggy animation videos, especially when alleged minors are coming out stating that you linked this content in spaces regarding them, which is pretty weird. Once again, these all remain as allegations until he basically comes out and confirms it or addresses it. Now, more screenshots also continue to show what they claim to be allegedly Lego, aka PghLFilms, posting weird, suggestive messages in which seem to be cropped out of context, but we can presume are quote-unquote jokes of his in a Discord server that he has, such as him stating hashtag Lego's massive ass, and if you want people to suck them, then clean them. Now, people have made counters to this specific batch of evidence, claiming that the behavior presented by PghLFilms was encouraged by other server members at the time. However, the thread still continues showing more weird messages PghLFilms allegedly sent, with him apparently stating, "You are a piss bitch. Wow, cheese pizza. Shake it. Hardcore makeout session." And now, with all of these screenshots, I'm going to be deeply honest and give a truth bomb. This is not proof whatsoever that he's some sort of pedophile or groomer or a racist. And I feel like if this situation is all true, because keep in mind they're allegations as of now, it's more or less indicative that PghLFilms has an apparent lack of awareness of how to sufficiently interact with people, and I don't necessarily think that he's some sort of horrible, terrible person from these DM exchanges, and judging by his responses currently, he is clearly regretful of his past actions. He stated in a YouTube comment, "I'm serious, I don't know what's going on. I'll check Twitter right now and check, but I don't have it logged in right now. I'm still in New York, please give me at least 5 days to come back. All I know is that allegations of me being weird with minors. I'm so sorry. I'll do whatever I can to clear up things when I come back. Whatever I did to the victims, I'm sorry. I need to apologize to them when I get back. The last thing I'd ever want to do is to hurt them. I must have acted weird during that time and I messed up. I'm sorry." However, this comment was later edited. However, in another comment he states, "I never wanted to hurt people. It was the last thing I'd ever want to do. But it turns out I did. I promise I will clear things out. It's not hard to do." And then he states in another YouTube comment, "I have parental controls and I don't have access to anything right now. I'm sorry." However, he does reiterate numerous times that he will respond as soon as he comes back. Twitter users also provided additional screenshots to prove how message logs in the PghL server were in fact deleted, along with Bo proving more screenshots of allegedly PghLFilms making jokes about the morbid cat videos with the minors who were inherently uncomfortable about the situation, as well as more screenshots provided by Bo showing how PghLFilms was apparently obsessed with not being cancelled, along with other screenshots showing Bo asking PghLFilms to basically restart the vent advice channel in the server, as well as other messages that he had directed to her, proving how there is some basis to suggest that they did in fact have contact, and this isn't just some made up fabricated story. However, the allegation that Bo brings up regarding PghLFilms' alleged sexualization towards her is definitely something that I am hoping that he will address fully when he comes back to YouTube. Now, regarding this situation, I do believe that the jokes he made in a space with minors were in poor taste and were cringe, but I don't think he should be cancelled or villainized for it. However, the cat decomposition videos and the animal death videos he allegedly posted is certainly really strange and not something I necessarily expected from a family-friendly YouTuber like him if these allegations are indeed true. I can only hope he offers the full context behind some of these images and out-of-context screenshots, and can perhaps give a larger insight into the situation and perhaps take accountability where needed. However, I will now go over the full tweet made by Bo so you can better understand the situation levied against him in full context. Talking about my experience with PghLFilms. Hi, I am Bo, but I used to go by other names. I do not wish to list, however. I just thought I'd come out and talk about some things that have creeped me out and have made me feel uncomfortable while being friends with Lego. A few Twitter warnings here for the mentions of decomposing, sexual assault, discussion, and vomit. Also, I will have to mention I have no proof due to the sudden deletion of all messages in his server. A little backstory to begin. I became friends with Lego back in summer of 2022 after meeting him through his other friends through his fanbase. One person I will be talking about is Bunny, who I will not say names. As I got to know Lego better, I started to realize a lot of things I'd never expect to come from such a family-friendly guy. One last thing before I start talking about things is our ages. Lego is a literal adult and the rest of us are minors. Anyway, now I will start to talk about what I have to say. Part 1. Weird things sent in the GC. When he had the Discord server, it was a bit smaller at first. A lot of the people there were his friends and others were friends of friends. Because of this, he seemed pretty comfortable about what he said and sent. One thing he did a lot was say many NSFW jokes. Obviously, as naive as I was, I didn't really see the problem at the time. Lots of the NSFW jokes were about his adult friend and closest friend, but he made lots of the jokes around us, causing us to engage in the jokes. But there were times he accidentally made NSFW jokes about some other younger friends. Part 2. Being the hero of situations that weren't his to take credit for. Here is where I bring in quote-unquote Bunny. Bunny was one of my closest friends in the community due to her being one of the first people to include me. A situation happened where Bunny had said and done some bad things to me, causing me to tell other people in the group including Lego about it. Lego was very close to Bunny as well to make things clear. When I was in the group and Lego knew about the things she'd done, Lego insisted he knew all of this was happening and kicked her from the server and threw my sacrifice of a friendship for him into the shadows. He did check on me after this happened, but that was about it. One more thing about the situation is I did ask for him to delete the channel with all the discussion as there were too many messages to delete myself, but he never really deleted them even with reminders. Number 3. Relying on minors to help him and his community. A huge thing about Lego is how he relied on his friends to sort things out in his community. I understand he was a busy guy, but he was mostly busy when bad situations were taking place. He barely helped with the situations happening inside of his Discord server and relied on us to figure it out ourselves. I'm not saying he was responsible 100%, but I feel like it was unfair that he wasn't there when we needed him most. Something about him is he relied on us to technically help take care of him. He didn't sleep unless we told him to. He never told him he can sleep when he wants to and doesn't need our help. and we would need to yell at him to get off VCs sometimes. Tweet warning, we had to yell at him to get off VCs at times because he would be on it when he really shouldn't. I've had two pretty serious examples of this. One of them was when he was seriously sick and stayed on the voice chat and was vomiting while being unmuted on voice chat. Another is when he fainted while being on a voice chat. The fainting could have been he forgot he was on the voice chat, but I'm not sure because he was on it after a while. 4. The way he handles situations with haters. One thing about Lego is the way he literally attacks people when they mess around. Most of these people are literal children looking for attention. Sometimes it would get so bad to the point that he would leak people's real names and sometimes even addresses. This is unacceptable behavior for a literal adult. 5. Sexualization. The last thing I would talk about is how Lego was really weird around bathing suits. There are two situations I have of this. One of them I wasn't there when it happened, but I was informed that Lego had been talking about a time where he took a picture of his older sister in a bikini for her, which I think is just creepy despite it being his sister in just swimming clothes. I do have a personal experience as well. Once I had my PFP set to me in a bathing suit on my Discord because I wanted to have a summer and beachy themed layout. At the time I was 14 and Lego was an adult. At the time I didn't know much about sexualization of bathing suits, by the way. Anyway, I had joined the VC with that as my PFP, and the first thing Lego points out to is my profile picture and how I'm wearing a bathing suit. He kept asking me why, and I felt so creeped out I had changed the profile picture right away. I'm pretty sure I changed it to a picture of me hiding my face as well because it felt so weird. The worst part about this is I did discuss how I was sexualized a lot growing up before, and how he started pointing out what I was wearing in my PFP right away made me feel nauseous. That's about what I'm going to discuss. I hope all of this really sets an example of who he is, and it pushes past his innocent persona. I'm also very sorry for the lack of proof. I would definitely send screenshots and such, but he deleted his Discord server out of nowhere a while ago. Lastly, hugs to anyone who's been through this or was with me through these experiences, thank you. Bye. And then she also adds another tweet right under that stating, Twitter warning, another thing he would do is send us animal decomposing videos, one of those animals being a cat. We did repeatedly tell him not to send those types of videos, but he still did it anyways because quote unquote he thought we were all joking along. But anyway, now that everything has been discussed currently, what do you think about the situation? Do you think that he's guilty? Do you think that he's innocent? Make sure to comment down below and make sure to leave a like and subscribe and watch my other videos too. Obviously this video is not intended for cyberbullying, hate or harassment. This is just an educational video going over the entire situation as a whole, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.